You know, I was talking with an auto manufacturer CEO yesterday, and you know, they were saying to me, look, this border adjustment tax is very complicated because, frankly, we as one of the largest automakers, we've got components that go in cars, and they may cross the border 7 times. They may go back and forth until they're actually inserted into the assembly line, into a vehicle. So how do you think about putting a border adjustment tax and not overtax? How do you decide what gets a border tax, Secretary?
Maria, first of all, as I've said, you know, the whole border adjusted concept is something we're working with the House on, and we're taking a very careful look at. But the great thing is we got a terrific team at Treasury. You know, I heard about this before I got here, but there's an extraordinary staff in this building that's just incredibly talented. We have over 100 people who are focused on running tax numbers for us. We have terrific tax policy people. As we've mentioned, we've reached out to business. We got a great economic team. Gary Cohn and I speak multiple times a day. Wilbur Ross, we meet with Wilbur many times a week. We got a lot of people looking at this. Mick Mulvaney, we sat down with yesterday, as you know, going through the budget where he's taking the leadership on this. And we got very smart people looking at this internally, and we're reaching out to people externally. We're taking a lot of feedback, and I think what you're going to see is when we come out with the plan, it's going to be a plan that the administration, the House, and Senate all support, and we're going to move forward on this. And it's going to be a great plan that's going to create growth in this country.
And we know that everyone's anticipating that. We've seen the market's performance, and obviously the markets are trading on this optimism that you're going to make a difference. You and your team are going to make a difference. Mick Mulvaney has been pretty vocal about, look, we got to take an axe to the entitlements. Where are you in the entitlements, sir? Because I know that this is one issue where people say that's where so much of the money is spent. Can you give us a preview of what the priorities are in the president's budget?
Well, what I will say is, you know, the president's priority, and he's commented on this, is we got to focus on our defense and make sure that our military has the capabilities that they need, that our borders have the capabilities that they need to protect the American citizens. So I'm not going to comment overall on the budget. You're going to see it soon, but I will tell you it does reflect the president's priorities and what he has campaigned on and what he believes in.
And one of those priorities, obviously, is military spending. People want to make sure that the country is safe. That's his #1 priority. Should we expect an increase in military spending?
Again, I think that's a good assumption, Maria. The president's talked about that, and again, without previewing the budget, I will say that the president is very focused on that issue.
And you've been so focused on the rollback of regulations, Secretary Mnuchin, and I know a lot of business leaders are happy about that, pushing to change Dodd-Frank. Can you talk to us about the specifics in rolling back regulations in Dodd-Frank? For example, the Consumer Protection Bureau, people are wondering if that gets a lot smaller.
Well, I just say the Consumer Protection Bureau is just one part. I mean, I think one of the biggest issues we talk about is you have the Consumer Protection Bureau, you have the OCC, you have the Fed, you have the FDIC. We want to make sure that these agencies work together and that we have good regulation, that we have sound regulation, but we also have regulation that creates economic growth and makes sure that banks are lending. There's an extraordinary amount of liquidity trapped in the system at banks. And we're all for banks being highly regulated, but we want to make sure that banks are lending. That is the #1 priority for us.
And that would, I guess, also address the issues over the Volcker rule and proprietary trading. Are we going to expect changes there as well?
Well, you know, I've commented on the Volcker rule, and again, I think the #1 issue on the Volcker rule is we need more clarity around the definition of the Volcker rule, and you've seen this even in the Fed's most recent report on liquidity in the markets as a result of the Volcker rule. It's hurt liquidity, and that's a concern to us. So it's not that we want to go back to proprietary trading, but we want clarity. We want to make sure that banks can focus on customer business, that they can execute this with proper liquidity, and again, that there's regulatory clarity around the rule.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously one of the most important things. People want clarity, and they want to know what the rules are. And for a long time, they actually did not have that kind of clarity. Do you expect businesses will start unleashing new ideas, hiring new workers, investing in their business once they do get that clarity?
I do, and the great thing about President Trump is he's reaching out to a lot of people. He's reaching out to big business. He's reaching out to small business. So, today we're meeting with manufacturers. He's met with retailers where he has feedback. He's met with the airline industry. He's met with auto dealers, and auto manufacturers. So he's getting a lot of feedback, a lot of real-time feedback. So this economic team is listening, and we're focused on what's going to create economic growth.
And that's the first time that's happened in a long time, by the way. Businesses like the fact that they actually can make their case to the administration, and you're listening. But